Go stand in front of your clothes dryer for a second. If it is an old one, the kind with a dial you twist and a buzzer that goes off when the load is done, there is a good chance it has just run, quietly, for as long as you can remember. But if it is one of the newer ones, with a glass touch panel and a menu of sensor drying modes, there is an equally good chance you have already paid to have it fixed once, and it is not even old yet. Here is the strange part. A clothes dryer is one of the simplest machines in your entire house. It is really only three things: a heater to make heat, a motor to turn the drum, and the drum itself. That is the whole idea. So why on earth does the new, simple machine die younger than the old simple machine? Tonight I am going to walk you through it, and the answer is going to make you look at that touch panel very differently. Let me stay calm and precise here, because this is not a story about villains. It is a story about what happens when you take something simple and bolt complications onto it. Think again about those three parts: a heating element, a motor, and a drum on a couple of rollers, with a belt to spin it. Every one of those parts is rugged, cheap, and easy to understand. On an old dial dryer, the brain running the whole show was a mechanical timer. It was a little wind-up motor turning a set of cams and contacts, and it simply clicked its way through the cycle. It was not clever. It could not sense a thing, but it was almost impossible to kill, and when it finally did wear out, a technician could swap it in 20 minutes. Now look at what the modern dryer added on top of those same three basic parts. It did not make the heater better, or the motor stronger, or the drum tougher. What it added was a brain transplant and a nervous system. There is now an electronic control board running the machine, a set of moisture sensors reading the dampness of the clothes, a display, and the wiring to tie it all together. And here is the quiet truth of engineering that nobody puts on the box. Every part you add is another part that can fail. You did not make the machine more durable by adding a computer to it. You gave it more ways to die. Stay with me, because this is the heart of it. On the old machine, the failure points were mechanical and cheap. A belt would stretch and snap after years of use, and a belt is a few dollars and a half hour on a Saturday. A roller would get noisy and you would replace it. The heating element would eventually burn out and you would put a new one in. These are not disasters. These are the ordinary, expected, affordable wear items of a simple machine, and a person with a screwdriver and a video can handle most of them. The dryer was designed, from the beginning, to be kept running. On the new machine, the failure point moved. It moved to the control board and the sensors, and that changes everything about the economics of a breakdown. When the board on a modern dryer fails, you are not looking at a few dollar belt. You are looking at an electronic part that can cost a serious fraction of what the whole dryer sold for, plus the labor to diagnose and replace it. And because the board is the brain, when it goes, the machine is simply dead, even though the heater, the motor, and the drum are all still perfectly good. You throw away three healthy parts because the one fragile part you did not need stopped talking to them. If you are the kind of person who thinks a machine this simple has no business dying young, then subscribe to Still Running, because taking these machines back to their three honest parts and showing you what really failed is the whole reason this channel exists. Now let me put some real numbers next to the feeling. Industry life expectancy data puts the average clothes dryer somewhere around 10 to 13 years. But dig into it, and a pattern shows up that matches exactly what people see in their own laundry rooms. The simpler mechanical timer machines tend to sit at the long end of that range and beyond, because there is so little on them to fail. The feature-heavy electronic control machines tend to sit at the short end, because every sensor and board is another gamble. Appliance lifespans across the board have drifted downward over the last 25 years, and when the people who study this are asked why, the answer they keep landing on is the added electronics. Not the heater, not the motor, the electronics that were bolted on to sell the machine. And let me show you exactly how one of those clever features turns into a failure, because the moisture sensor is the perfect example. On a sensor drying machine, two small metal strips sit inside the drum, and the control board reads the tiny electrical current that passes between them through your damp clothes. When the clothes are wet, they conduct that current. When they are dry, they do not, and the board shuts the cycle off. It is genuinely a smart idea, but those strips corrode over the years, and they get coated in a film of fabric softener residue, and the board starts to misread them. Now the dryer either quits with your clothes still damp, or it runs far too long and slowly cooks them, and eventually you are calling someone out. The old dial dryer had no sensor to corrode. It ran the time you set, and it shut off. There was nothing there to drift, nothing to clean, and nothing to fail. Here is the rehook, the thing to hold on to. The old dryer was not better because it was old. It was better because it was honest. It did one job with the fewest possible parts, and it made every one of those parts easy to reach and cheap to replace. The new dryer is not worse because making heat got harder. It is worse because it took a simple, serviceable machine and wrapped it in a delicate, expensive brain that it never actually needed to dry a load of towels. And think for a moment about the waste hiding inside a single control board failure. When that one part quits, the heating element is still perfectly good. The motor is still perfectly good. The drum, the rollers, the belt, the cabinet, all of it is still fine and could easily run for another decade. But because the brain is dead, the entire machine goes out to the curb, and a healthy dryer becomes scrap over a part about the size of your hand. On the old machine, the worst case was a 20-minute timer swap. On the new one, the worst case takes the whole appliance down with it. That is the real cost of complexity, and it is printed nowhere on the showroom tag. You can hear this from the people who live with these machines. One owner wrote, with obvious pride, that his dryer from 1979 still kicks. Almost 50 years, on a machine most people would have written off decades ago. Another described his old dryer breaking down, and instead of calling anyone, he tracked the trouble to the belt, bought the part for a few dollars, and had the whole thing running again in about half an hour. That is what a machine looks like when it was built to be fixed. Now picture the touch panel dryer in a big box store today, and ask yourself honestly whether anybody will be bragging about it in the year 2070. Now I do want to be fair, because the new machines are not useless. Sensor drying really can be gentler on your clothes than guessing at a timer, and the newest units run quieter and use less power. Those are real gains, and for some people they are genuinely worth having. But be honest about the price of them, and I do not mean the number on the sticker. The price is a shorter life and a more expensive failure. You are trading a machine that runs dumb and nearly forever for a machine that runs smart for a while and then strands itself over its own brain. Whether that trade is worth it is entirely your call, but you deserve to know that you are making it, because the salesman on the floor will only ever sell you the smart half of the story. So what do you actually do with all of this? First, if you already own one of the old dial dryers, treasure it and keep it running, because the wear parts on it, the belt, the rollers, the element, are cheap and available and forgiving. That machine can very likely outlive two of the fancy ones. Second, if you are shopping, understand the trade you are being offered. The sensor drying and the app and the 14 cycles are real conveniences, but every one of them is another part on the failure list, and none of them make the machine last longer. If simplicity and a long life matter more to you than a moisture sensor, then look for the plainest, most mechanical machine you can still find, and do not apologize for it. A few makers still build simple, commercial-style dryers, the same rugged kind that survive in laundromats, and they are out there if you hunt for the model with the fewest buttons on the panel. And if you happen to inherit an old dial dryer from a parent, or you spot one at an estate sale for next to nothing, do not turn your nose up at it. Clean the lint out of it thoroughly. Check that the belt is sound, and that plain old machine may quietly turn out to be the most reliable appliance in your entire house for the next 20 years. I am not telling you to fear technology, and I am not telling you the old days were perfect. I am telling you something narrower and more useful. A dryer is 3 simple parts doing one simple job, and every layer of electronics added on top of those 3 parts is a layer that can strand the whole machine while the important pieces are still good as new. The old ones last because there is almost nothing on them to break. The new ones die because we gave a simple machine a fragile brain and called it an upgrade. If you want more of these machines taken apart and explained down to their honest bones, then subscribe to Still Running. Then go listen to that old dryer tumble, steady and dumb and unkillable, and understand that the sound you are hearing is what Built to Last actually sounds like.